Hello everyone, this is Stan from Chunky Peanut Butter, and today I'm introducing my new segment, Recently Retro, where I review semi-recent and older games. Hopefully you'll find more to enjoy in this than just a simple review, however. Let us move on now, and without further ado, I present the first game that I shall have ever reviewed. With a 1996 Japanese release and releases in 1997 for the Western world, this game, developed by Ravenhillsoft and published by Electronic Arts, is an early example of survival horror with a fully 3D environment. Spiritual successor to Dr. Hauser and actual predecessor of Overblood 2, Overblood, with its rich, let's just say it has some neat mechanics and the storyline's kind of interesting, so let's get on. For a funny, albeit lengthy and slightly awkward video review of the game, check out Game Informer's Super Replay done for the Game Informer show. Link is on the screen. And for a shorter review, check out this video review by Consulvania. Also, just to save you some Googling, here are the links to the Wikipedia, Facebook page, and the IMDb, which is rather sparse. The plot of Overblood is quite simple. A group of scientists in an underground lab have been entering numbers into a computer, attempting to keep the world from ending. A group of scientists in an underground lab have been attempting to save human lives by altering DNA, and something goes horribly awry and causes mutations, turning everyone into aggressive zombies. Yeah, that sounds more familiar. In Overblood, you play as Raz Carsey, voiced by David Keith in the English, and you wake up in a cold cryogenic chamber that's had its release date set for eternity. After fighting off the cold, you meet up with a beep-booping robot named Peepo, voiced by Frank Welker, and eventually a romantic love interest named Millie Asray, voiced by Lindsay Frost. You suffer from a classic case of amnesia and have to discover your past while trying to escape. This just touches the surface, but as for the plot itself, I actually enjoyed it, other than some minor inconsistencies and a forced romance acted out with cheesy dialogue. But should you play past maybe 30 minutes or so, you'll begin to understand why. I give the plot a 6. Nothing special, but enjoyable enough to keep me going without feeling like I was dreading playing. As for the dialogue, not taking into account the cheesy delivery, which I shall address in the sound category, the lines themselves are a bit poor. Perhaps the writers for the English adaptation failed to truly capture the ideas from the Japanese, but almost every dialogue sequence has something that counters your ability to feel immersed. Everything is coherent, which is positive, and the ideas are conveyed, but there is certainly nothing natural in the structure itself. Memorable quotes include the main character telling the love interest, "I have an infection," screaming Peepo and Millie in melodramatic format, and a conversation in a sterilization chamber about wanting to have kids someday, which really excites the female love interest. For the actual writing, for the dialogue, I give it about a 4. In regards to sound, I'm actually considering it from 3 angles: sound effects, music, and voice acting. The sound effects were unnoticeable, not horrible, just bland, and so in this category Overblood receives a 4. The music was actually good, other than a terrible jazz leitmotif, and the moody atmospheric music present throughout the actual gameplay balances the music category out to an even 5. The voice acting, well, in the abridged, it's terrible. I don't know how professional actors could mess this up this badly, but even an amateur could have done better. I give it a 3. I try to keep in mind games of the similar time period when I look at a game's graphical content, and it really is about quality. It's not necessarily a high poly count or cheap gimmicks that may influence me to say a game is graphically impressive. So, in the same time period, Resident Evil and Tomb Raider seemed like more than adequate comparisons for the time of Overblood, and Overblood in this category is more than bland. It has poorly animated sequences, items give no graphical cues for their existence, there's a reused single-color jumpsuit for the enemy zombies, bland gray walls everywhere. There are a few specific and neat things that pop up, but for the most part it's all very bland. I give it a 3. I really want to give Overblood more in this category than I will, but I thought switching between characters and different actions for each character and the different actions based on whether you're crouching or standing was neat. I thought the puzzles, pushing blocks around or knocking stuff over, secret searching, and etc. was cool. The combat wasn't great. The game didn't really focus on it. There were a total of some 10 combat sequences, which isn't a bad thing. It's not about combat. or at least this game isn't. The action events were a bit chunky. It was more like just slamming buttons and hoping you didn't die. There was a neat hover vehicle riding sequence, but altogether, for gameplay and playability, it just gets a 4. So just to recap and give an average score, I give the plot a 6, the dialogue a 4, sound effects a 4, music 5, voice acting a 3, graphics 3, and the gameplay and playability a 4, and that comes out to an average of 4.1. I hope you enjoyed this review of Overblood, and I hope to see you at my next review. Thank you.